Good morning, this is Shelby Law with Great Basin's seasonal outlook for December 2024 to March 2025. We'll start by taking a look at recent precipitation and temperature trends. Here we're looking at precipitation percent of normal for the past 7 days on the left and the past 14 days on the right. We have had a few storms coming through over the past couple of weeks. In the last 7 days, a pretty strong storm moved through the southern portions of the Great Basin, bringing some pretty good precip totals to central and southern Utah, where Idaho was on the drier side. The week before that, Idaho was the winner, with some precip moving into mainly the western and central Idaho mountains. We do have some drier spots out there, particularly portions of western Nevada and western Wyoming. Precipitation and temperature trends are shown here for the last 30 days. Temperatures were cooler than average for most of November for much of the Great Basin, with those coming in at 2 to 3 degrees below average, and a few colder pockets over central Nevada. We were slightly near normal to slightly above normal over the west central Idaho mountains. And for precip, again, a pocket of above normal precipitation over western Idaho, and then some above normal precip there late in the month over central Utah, otherwise dry, especially over western Nevada, eastern Idaho, and into western Wyoming. Our precipitation for the water year starting October 1st of 2024, again showing similar trends, as this is kind of a recent precipitation image. So precipitation totals higher over the central portions of Utah and western Idaho, and then drier kind of through these middle parts. The drought monitor shows some longer term trends here. On the left, showing much of the Great Basin has dipped into the abnormally dry category. So the first tier of drought is being present over much of the Great Basin. And then we have some more significant drought happening over southern Nevada, with some severe and even extreme drought over the far southern tip of Nevada. And then further north over the east central Idaho mountains and western Wyoming, drought is also taking hold there, with some moderate drought and then some severe drought in this orange, and just seeing a tiny little bit of extreme drought popping up over some of those areas as well. So something to watch through the winter. Most likely, as we look at the forecast for the drought outlook for December 1st through February 28th, we may expect the drought to improve over the north, over Idaho and Wyoming, with some La Nina trends expected this winter, but the drought across the south is expected to worsen and perhaps even expand. Taking a look at the eddy, this is the short-term flash drought for the past 3 weeks, again showing some dryness over mainly southern Nevada, central Nevada, western Nevada there, and then some improvement here in the central Idaho mountains. Let's take a look at fuels, or talk about the fuels here. This time of year, we're heading into December. We've had quite a few hard freezes overnight, so most of our vegetation is going dormant for the winter, and our ERCs are going to all be pretty low across the map here. Most of these stations below the 50th percentile, and where we have some oddities here, probably not too much concern. There may be some weird things happening with those stations there. But if we look closer at the trends, especially as we head into the next week and where we've been for the past, it's been a couple of dry days, a dry week really. Anyway, yes, at least a couple of dry days. And we're forecasted to continue to see some dryness over the next 5 to 7 days. So our ERCs are actually, here's western Wyoming, are actually going to be setting records for the next week, as we see some dry conditions settling into that area, continuing across that area. And then along the Sierra front as well, those values are going to be above normal for the time of year, not near the records, but still dry as we settle into this kind of extended dry period, anomalously dry for the first week of December. All right, let's take a look at the forecast then. Here's the forecast for the next 7 days. So most of this precip is coming at the end of the 7-day period. For the next 5 to 6 days, we're going to be pretty dry across the area, and then maybe we'll start to see some precipitation moving in. But again, this is all kind of coming late in the period, so we'll see what actually happens. 8 to 10 day outlook, 8 to 14 day outlook for December 9th through the 15th is calling for above normal temperatures across much of the western and central U.S., with generally below normal precipitation expected, especially across the western and central portions of the Great Basin. So not a great improvement expected over the next couple of weeks, kind of continuing this dry period that we're in. The more extended outlook from our predictive services unit is showing some of these trends of the La Nina setting up. So December is going to be generally warm and dry across the Great Basin, but could see some precipitation moving into the Pacific Northwest. And then as we head deeper into the winter months, January into February, the expectation is that the La Nina takes hold, and that will bring a cooler, wetter trend to the Pacific Northwest and potentially Idaho as well, and maybe clipping a little bit of northern Nevada and northern Utah. But the trends here are for the Southwest to remain on the warmer and drier side. So southern Utah, southern Nevada could miss out on some precip this winter, while maybe favoring the northern portions of the Great Basin. Okay, so what does this mean for December? December through March? Well, we're looking for near normal fire potential, which is quite low this time of year. Really, the only threats we're looking at would be mainly in the areas where we would normally see wintertime fires, which would potentially be along the Sierra Front after a period of warm and dry conditions, relatively warm and dry conditions followed by strong winds. We have seen a few of those fires in the month of November. So that's something to watch throughout the winter, is any of those really strong winds after a dry period along the Sierra Front. Otherwise, most areas may see small fires here and there, but we typically don't see any kind of large fire or significant fire activity through the winter months for most of the Great Basin. Taking a look at what our neighbors are expecting through the winter months. So we do have some above normal on the map for the southern area, particularly Texas and the far southeast for December, January, and into February. That concludes this month's briefing. Please check back in January for the latest updates to the monthly seasonal outlook.